The first step in taking a PK is the stance position. Starting at the ankle, we see it being in plantar flexion. This will touch on your gastrocnemius, your soleus, and your tibialis posterior. Moving up to the knee, we see it touching on your vastus intermedialis, your vastus lateralis, your vastus medialis, along with your rectus femoris. Then we move to the hip, which would also be an extension, and this is going to touch on your adductor magnus, your bicep femoris, your semitendinosus, your semimembranosus, and the gluteus maximus. All of these are going to be in their isometric state.
The second step into taking a PK is the run-up phase. Starting at the left ankle, at plantar flexion, it uses the gastrocnemius, the soleus, the tibialis, and the tibialis posterior. At the right ankle, at dorsiflexion, it uses the tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, and the extensor hallucis longus. For the left knee, it is at an extension and uses the vastus intermedius, vastus lateralis, and the vastus medius, and the rectus femoris. For the right knee, it is in flexion, uses the bicep femoris, semimembranosus, and the semitendinosus. And for the hip, the left hip, it is an extension, uses the adductor magnus, bicep femoris, semitendinosus, and the semimembranosus, as well as the gluteus maximus. For the right hip, it is in flexion, uses the iliacus, psoas major, rectus femoris, sartorius, and the pectineus. And all of these are in the concentric stage.
The third step in taking a PK is the backswing position. Starting at the left ankle, where we see it in dorsiflexion, it touches on your tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, extensor hallucis longus. Moving to the right ankle, which will be in plantar flexion, it will be touching on your gastrocnemius, your soleus, as well as the tibialis posterior. Going up to the left knee, which will be an extension, it touches on your vastus intermedialis, the vastus lateralis, the vastus medialis, as well as the rectus femoris. At your right knee, which will be in flexion, it will touch on your bicep femoris, your semitendinosus, as well as your semimembranosus. At the left hip, which will be in flexion, it touches on your iliacus, your psoas major, your rectus femoris, sartorius, pectineus, and the adductor longus. At the right hip, which is an extension, it touches on your adductor magnus, biceps femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus, as well as the gluteus maximus. These are all going to be in their concentric state, besides the right bicep femoris, which will be in the eccentric state.
The fourth step into taking a PK is the follow-through position. Starting at the left ankle, it is in plantar flexion, and it uses the gastrocnemius, the soleus, and the tibialis posterior. Now moving to the right ankle, it is in dorsiflexion, and it will use the gastrocnemius, the soleus, the tibialis posterior, flexor digitorum longus, and the flexor hallucis longus. Moving up to both knees, which would be an extension and would use the vastus intermedius, the vastus lateralis, and the vastus medialis, and also the rectus femoris. Now up to the left hip, which is an extension, we would use the adductor magnus, the bicep femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus, and the gluteus maximus. The right hip would be in flexion and would use the iliacus, the psoas major, the rectus femoris, sartorius, the pectineus, and the adductor longus, which all of these would be in the concentric state.